Hello, and welcome to another episode of Prog Review. I haven't numbered it because I don't know what number this one's going to be. Oh, isn't that mysterious? I'm on the sofa. Alex the Wonder Dog is here. Should we have a look? Oh, let me have a look at him. There he is. Do you want to say hello, Alex? No. Okay. His usual grumpy self. And I am talking about, if you haven't already looked, it's Daryl Hall's Sacred Songs. Yeah, it's not strictly a prog rock album, but seeing as we've already talked about Peter Gabriel 2 and Exposure, I thought it only fair that we mention this one. Let's do some back history. Let me just adjust my camera. Back in the day, when Robert Fripp was putting Exposure together and working with Peter Gabriel and Daryl Hall, he decided to create what he called the MOR, Middle of the Road, trilogy, and that would consist of Exposure, Peter Gabriel 2, and this here album, Sacred Songs. The idea is that some songs would appear in various forms over the three albums, and each one would be slightly the same but slightly different. I think that's generally the gist of it. Now, whilst Peter Gabriel 2 came out, no one gave a toss, about Fripp's meddling with Gabriel's output, because at that time Gabriel was fairly eclectic, and it didn't matter. It was only by Peter Gabriel 3 that the record companies were a little concerned. It was when it came to Daryl Hall's Sacred Songs album being released, the bosses at RCA basically had a screaming fit and said, "Oh my God, this isn't commercial at all. We can't have you put this out. This will kill your career." And so they forced him. Well, they basically locked the master tapes away, and it took him 2 years. And if you look at the album graphic there, if you can see that is Daryl Hall himself getting the master tapes out of the vault where they were locked away. Can you believe it? That's what record companies are like. As we all know, record companies are a fine, upstanding, ethical business. No, they're not. And so they basically put this on a hold for about 2 years. Much to the chagrin of Daryl Hall, who put adverts in news press saying, "When will you release my album?" And much to the annoyance of, everybody involved, really. But anyway, it was released, and it's a very interesting. I find it a very interesting record because of Fripp's involvement. He's the producer. He appears on a couple of tracks. Some of his tracks are mirrored on here. And again, this isn't going to be for everyone, but if you're interested in that whole period, you really do need to hear the three albums back to back, because you can see that Fripp was on an interesting musical journey. Again, I don't think it's something that anyone's ever really done since. There's no one that's actually said, "Hey, let's kind of cross-pollinate and put songs on each other's albums, and you can flavour mine and I'll flavour yours." And so it starts off with Sacred Songs, which is a very boppy little number, followed by Something in 4/4 time, which again plays with the notion that everything's got to be in 4/4 time. If you've got to have a pop song, it's got to be in 4/4 time. You've got to have something in 4/4 time. You've got to have something that always rhymes, and they play with the format. And there's bits of Frippatronics in there as well. And as the album goes on, Fripp's very much on side one of the record. And as the album progresses, his influence, I believe, kind of dissipates. It's kind of good, because it kind of goes eclectic, and then it goes back to Daryl Hall doing what he wants. Again, I like Sacred Song, Something 4/4 time, Babs and Babs. You get a different version of Urban Landscape. NYCNY. Again, that's off of Fripp's Exposure album, and they completely turn it around and turn it into something different. Again, there's a lovely track called The Father of What I Am, which I just like. Why Was It So Easy is pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good pop record. I really love the track Survive. There's a piece of guitar in there that is just absolutely not really, really. I think it's Fripp doing the guitar piece, but it's hard to know, really, isn't it? Sounds like Fripp. I'm sure someone will correct me. I'm always worried about making bold statements in case somebody, oh, you fucking idiot, you got it wrong again. But yeah, so it was released a few years ago, and Fripp had on CD. It hadn't been on CD, I don't think. And he did a remastered. I mean, this is probably going back 10 years now. I'm thinking everything was yesterday, but it wasn't, because time moves. The last 10 years of my life have just disappeared. I think it was reissued about a decade ago on CD, and Fripp remastered it. There's an extra track on her as well. I haven't got the CD version because I've got the LP version, but I'm sure it sounds absolutely tickety-boo. And that's that. I mean, it's not a prog album, but I think you should listen to it. In terms of a rating, I'm going to give this. A 3.5 RCA volts out of 5. That's 3.5 RCA volts out of 5, because it's not really a record I'd tend to go back to, but it deserves extra points purely because Fripp was involved and he tried to do something different with it. And it's always interesting when Fripp comes along. He always touches something and turns it into something else. He's very transformative, and that's a good thing. So that's it. My name's been Darren Locke. I've been burbling on about Daryl Hall's Sacred Songs, and on the back he's got his hand over his mouth. Ooh. And hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Social media, sit on my Facebook, tickle me Twitter, do what you want with me Google Plus. That's it. Only one more thing to say. Are you ready? Oh.